Okay, we're live. Hey everyone, I'm T. Krulos.
And I'm Heidi Erickson.
All right, it's November 2nd.
It is.
Um, as you just pointed out, Halloween season is not really over.
It is not over. Today is technically All Souls Day,
Uh,
because it's Samhain, it's All Hallows Eve, and then it's All Saints Day, and then it's All Souls Day, because the Catholic Church just took all the fun stuff and sucked the joy right out of it. Technically speaking, this season goes on for several days, and astrological Samhain is not until the 5th of November.
well, that's good, because there's a lot of service industry people that have to work on Halloween. So,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are still in the mood to celebrate because they didn't have a chance over this last weekend.
Absolutely. I'd also like to point out that Halloween is in the heart, okay?
Yes.
You can have it whenever you want. Halloween in July, Halloween in January, whenever you want. We should, if you guys are service people and you didn't get to go out for Halloween and you would like to, you should message us and we'll go out on the 5th and have some Halloween fun. What do you think about that? Courtesy of Tea's Weird Week. You're buying your own drinks, though. We're broke over here.
Yeah, bring your own booze.
Bring your own booze. How was your Halloween, Tea? How was your pseudo Halloween? Your sort of Halloween?
October is usually busy for me because it's a month where everyone's like suddenly interested in what you do.
Yeah, right.
So people are interested in doing interviews. I do a ton of ghost tours for American Ghost Walks.
Right.
But this October was extra busy because I had some other projects mixed in there too.
He says other projects like he was building a model ship. In fact, he was flying back and forth to California to film a documentary.
Yes, that's true.
Just some projects for T.
Right. So I did as many ghost tours as I could. And the last one was on the 30th. So I was like, all right, I made it through this month. Here's the last ghost tour. I mean, I love doing the ghost tour because it's really fun to see people's reaction and I get to hear people's own stories.
Sure.
It's tiring when you're doing them.
Yeah, I love disco dancing, but you can only do that for so long before you're like, I need to fucking sit down, man.
Exactly.
Take off this leotard, Christ's sake.
Exactly. So last tour was we do this tour that's kind of rare, and it's called The Saints and Sinners of Brady Street.
Ooh,
yeah,
that sounds
Brady
fun.
Street tour. But because we got some new guides this year, but they're not trained on that one yet. So I did it. And Brady Street is a little bit more challenging than the Third Ward tour.
I would think.
Because Third Ward has people like drinking and acting like idiots, but Brady Street, a lot.
It's a carnival.
A lot of
people are getting stabbed.
Yeah.
People on roller skates. People getting stabbed on roller skates. Brady Street is a fucking hoot and a holler. Yeah. Okay. What?
People get real drunk and, they see a group and they want to fuck with the group, So I'm like, all right, let's push our way through Brady Street. Hopefully nothing too crazy happens. We got to like the third stop on the tour and we're walking from one stop to the next down Brady Street. And I see this guy, and I've seen this guy one other time downtown, and he likes to preach the word of Jesus through a bullhorn.
Right.
And he's one of those people that has an uncanny knack to be able to talk nonstop without taking a breath or pausing at all. So he's standing there with his bullhorn. He's like, the word of Jesus tells you that you can't celebrate Halloween because Halloween is the devil's holiday and you're celebrating the devil when you celebrate Halloween. And I'm like, all right, we're going to walk by this guy. And what a treat. They're going to get to see some local color here. So we walk by this guy, but then, I hear him and we're like a block away and I still hear him pretty loud. And I turn around and I look and sure enough, he's followed the group.
Oh
Like
man.
he's right behind the last person in the group. This is a group of like 30 people, by the way. And I'm like, oh, he followed us down the block. And then he like pulls up right next to me and starts like directly yelling at me with the bullhorn.
At you specifically.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Okay.
he saw I had like a headset mic, and he could just tell that I was like the leader of this group.
Well,
So
yeah.
he pulls up next to me and he's yelling directly at me with a bullhorn. By the way, this guy is like 3 feet shorter than I am, I would guess.
So
He's like
average height.
right. Good one. And he's like, you want to talk about the devil? This man is working for the devil himself. He's
T,
telling you about Halloween, blah, blah,
T,
blah.
T, if you're working for the devil and you've been holding that out on me, I'm just never going to forgive you. Are you working for the devil? How are the benefits? What's it like? Do you get dental? That's
No,
amazing.
not good at all. Here's another weird part of this story. This guy also had like a sidekick who was this younger, thin, tall guy. He looked like he was a teenager. Maybe he's in his 20s. And he had this little Bible in his hands that he had open. And he was just kind of like, he was like the Flavor Flav to this guy, He would just like shout a couple things once in a while and like point at his Bible.
He's like Spinderella. That's amazing.
I was like, what the hell? So I was like, I have no idea what to do right now. Like, I've never been in this specific situation.
I'd have had a rap battle with that motherfucker for sure. I just dropped some bars.
Well, I was like, maybe I can just ignore him. I was like, maybe I'll just start talking and like, he'll get sick of whatever he's doing. So I try to tell the ghost story, and this guy is not stopping at all. And then I got a little bit nervous actually, because, well, first of all, this guy is obviously unstable. And there's people in my group that were getting mad at this guy. So a couple of guys walked up to him and they're like, what the hell? Why don't you leave us alone? Like,
yeah,
go
we
bother
paid for this
somebody
tour.
else.
Fuck off. Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, maybe this is going to be a situation. So I was like, okay, everyone, hang on. I'm going to try to talk to this guy. Because I'm like, hey, I can negotiate. I'm good at whatever. So I start walking towards this guy, and like his sidekick like intercepts, and he's like, I want you to pray with us right now. Just stop. I'm like, no. Just let me explain something, okay? Can I just explain one thing? He's like, I want you to pray. And then this guy like comes back around him. He's like, I told you that you're all worshiping the devil and you're all going to go to hell. And I lost my cool in like 10 seconds, and I snapped, and I was like, get the fuck out of here, stupid.
Sick burn. You're a doo-doo face, and I want you to get the hell out of here. What did he say?
He didn't even hear me. He didn't even hear me. He
over
was
the
just
blowhorn.
talking. Yeah,
sure.
He can't hear anything over his own voice. So I was like, okay, now I'm starting to lose my cool. I was like, all right, look, group. Oh, but here's what saved everything. There was a group of drunk college bros walking by, and they see what's going on, and they come over to this guy, and there's like 4 or 5 of them, and they all start chanting, the power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
Yes, Phi Theta Kappa. Way to get in there.
And so they were doing that, and I was like, okay, this is a chance. I was like, hey, everyone in my group, we're getting out of here. We're going around the block. Come on, follow me. We're going to walk away from here quickly down the block while this guy is distracted.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't run into him in a block.
That was strategic. That was very strategic.
So
that was lucky.
We walked all the way around the block. We lost him. And I get to the next stop. And I'm like, all right, well, hey, that was weird, huh? Wow, everybody. I don't know. I've never had that happen to me before. I start telling the next story, and I see this group of young guys. They're walking by, they see our group, and they start whispering and giggling to each other. And then one of the guys was dressed like Lil Nas X.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And he just runs into the middle of our group and like sticks his ass out and starts twerking. And he
Did you?
twerks for like 10 seconds and then he giggles and he runs away.
That might have actually been Lil Nas X. Did you check? That seems like something he would do. That's funny.
Yes.
That was Satan just giving you a high five. He was like, "Thanks, man."
I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
What would you have done if Phi Theta Kappa hadn't shown up though? Like, how would you
I don't know.
see? Okay, so fun story, fun facts about Heidi. I have a lot of friends that won't go with me to laundromats or any place where there could conceivably be unhinged people, because I absolutely love talking to people who have no mooring in reality. I want to know what that's like. I want to hear their perspective. And I have occasionally gotten distracted with my ADHD and wandered off and left my friends alone talking to somebody who is wearing their underpants on the outside. That has happened, and I'm sorry. I've repeatedly apologized for this. I definitely feel like when a situation like that happens, your instinct is to de-escalate because you don't know. Like, you really don't know.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is you can't ignore crazy people. Like, when people are like you can't. You can't. All you can do is attempt to out crazy them. I'd like to point out that you are a tall man. You're tall. Like, you're the nicest person. T's the nicest person, you guys. T is like a labradoodle. He's like the nicest person in the world. But he's a very imposing figure.
Yeah.
And he has a reach like Abraham Lincoln. I'd have just like pretended he was a bear, just put your arms up and like, the power of Satan compels you. Like,
the thing that worried me the most, if this would have been just me walking down Bray Street, I would have been like, sure, follow me down the street and yell at me through a bullhorn. I don't care. But I had this group of people with me, and oftentimes those tours are not people from Milwaukee. So when you're in a situation where it could be dangerous and you don't know if the guy is going to like pull out a knife or something,
right,
it's very concerning because you're kind of responsible for these people's safety.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I was like, shit, man, I don't know what to do. Like,
bring an air horn with you or something in case that happens again, and just like out blowhorn him, just like or whatever. I don't know. Install a crazy psychedelic electric light show into your clothing, and the next time that happens, just like that dinosaur on Jurassic Park with the big frilly whatever, just like freak them out. You got to out crazy the crazy people. I'm glad you didn't get hurt. I'm glad no one was harmed.
Yeah, and it's hard because someone like that, they really thrive off negative attention.
Sure.
So if you start like yelling at him like I did, that's just going to encourage him because he thinks that he's like Jesus being pelted with rocks or something,
Sure, but like again, you can't just ignore them because they're gonna keep at it, and especially in that situation because you had a group of people with you, that person had your attention. You couldn't pretend like it wasn't interrupting your day and your life. Like he had it. That like he already had it. Your only choice was to get weird with it. Flash mob. I don't know. Start singing Donna Summers at the top of your lungs. Just take your shirt off and just like whatever. I don't know. I've done it. It works. Well, that sounds fun. Happy Halloween.
Yeah. So the next day was Halloween, and I was like, I ain't doing nothing.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't do much. Me and Alicia shot an interview for the Horror Host documentary.
Oh, wonderful.
So that was
great.
fun.
She's great.
After that, I was like, I got nothing for the rest of this month, which is 12 more hours.
Right. No, this October was super intense, man. Like there was all kinds of stuff going on. Like
you said in a message that it was ratchet.
It was ratchet. This October was ratchet, which is really too bad because usually my favorite time of year. But like there was some wacky flu that was going around the mid of it. But I started out my month doing the Witches Fair because it was the last weekend of September. Mm-hmm. And then I went right into doing Wendigo Fest. Now I'm planning another Witches Fair, like the Witches Yule Fair at Falklandia is happening too. But like in between there, like a bunch of people got really sick and like a bunch of people were having like, I was getting phone calls from people telling me they were having crazy dreams and there's ghosts in their houses and my car broke down. Like it was just, a friend of mine said it was like Mercury retrograde, but like on crack. And that's what this October felt like. But like, I feel like, I don't know, my Halloween night was also anticlimactic for the same reason. Because by the time actual Halloween happened, I was like, nope, nope. I need a glass of water and an Uber. Get me the fuck out of this bar. Like, it was not. I was not feeling it. I watched The Beast Must Die, which is one of my favorite werewolf movies from 1978. Really fantastic. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. I composed an excellent list of horror movies this spooky season that don't suck, because so many of them do. But I have the secret master list of the ones that don't. Just so you know, that's her life.
We'll have to next October. We'll have to bust that out and like do some viewing parties or something.
Well, I'd like to point out that traditionally, like Halloween is just the beginning of spooky season. Like, we do Christmas now because Pope Gregory, way back in like whatever the 1500s, was a master marketer. That guy could have sold anything. He took all the Christian holidays and he's like, I know, instead of being in July, which is where we used to celebrate Christmas, we're going to celebrate it on the 25th of December, because that's when winter solstice happens and the pagans are already celebrating that holiday. And that holiday is about the return of what? The light to the world, which is kind of like Jesus is the light, right? That makes sense. We're going to do that. Traditionally, people didn't celebrate Christmas with like singing and Coca-Cola Santa Clauses and like all that stuff. They told ghost stories. All of winter was the season of dead things, was ghost stories and spooky shit and being careful not to be outside after dark because the fae would get you and all that kind of shit. I think that it's way better to have, like, especially for people who aren't super about Christmas, the holidays are stressful. Like, the holidays are scary, stressful time. Ever since Gremlins, for me, the sound of Christmas carols makes me a little uncomfortable. Come on, that scene was crazy, right? That's one of the scariest scenes in cinema. I've seen a lot of horror movies, but that moment when she's in the attic and all the like gremlin eggs have exploded and she hears, "Do you hear what I hear from downstairs?" Dude, still fucks me up every time, every single time. I think we should have horror theater marathons throughout the duration, like the Friday before or the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Everybody comes home, right? And traditionally, I don't know if you guys aren't in the service industry, you might not know this, but the three drunkest holidays there are is New Year's Eve, St. Patrick's Day, and the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, because everybody comes home to see their family, but most people don't actually want to spend that much time with their family. So they go out to the bar to like measure themselves against the other losers they went to high school with and get shitty wasted at the bar they used to get drunk at in high school. That's real life. That's how it is. I think that night is perfect for a horror movie marathon, like a drinking game horror movie marathon. I think we should do it. Just saying, just putting it out there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Milwaukee Krampusnacht, December 5th. That is also a great opportunity. And I've talked to people who really appreciate the fact that this is an event you can go to. You don't have the family pressure.
Right.
You know, you don't have to do shit you don't want to do. You can just go have a stupid good time.
Yeah.
And see a bunch of Krampus and other characters running around. So,
yeah. Also, that feels way more like traditional Christmas to me. Like Krampus is a real character. Like, this is what I'm saying. Christmas was a spooky time. Germans know about creepy holidays, and they knew about the Krampus, and that's what Christmas is supposed to be like. It's definitely not the Charlie Brown special. It's definitely this guy's going to put you in a sack and then whip you with sticks or whatever. Plus, like, drinking. I mean, obviously they'll be drinking.
Yes, it's a very fun social event. MilwaukeeParacon.com. Tickets just went on sale. Tickets are $5. So
$5. That's a steal.
Yeah.
That's a super steal.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the big story of today, Heidi. Some days I wake up and I'm like, this world, just incredible, just amazing. We've talked about I mean, throughout the entire history of this podcast, we've mentioned the latest big QAnon idea.
Oh my God.
And I don't know where this one snuck up. I had not heard of this. I had heard, for quite a while in advance that they believed that Trump was going to be put back into office on March 4th, which didn't happen. And there's been a couple of other predictions since then. But for some reason, I'm still not clear where this idea originated from, but someone put the word out that today at noon or 11:55, I guess specifically, that John F. Kennedy Jr., the son of JFK, who died in a plane accident in
Yeah, he'd super
1999.
died. He died real hard. Like he fell out of the fucking sky. That guy's so dead.
Well, he's long been a part of QAnon mythology.
How's that work? Why? What?
They
Why?
think that he faked his death somehow, and that he potentially is Q himself.
John
He
F.
was,
Kennedy Jr. is
yeah,
Q.
yeah,
Dude, I believe fucking Elvis was Q
and,
before I believe that. That doesn't make any sense
and
at
that for
all.
some reason JFK Jr.
Ah.
loves Trump and is helping him out, which
Oh,
also doesn't make sense.
you know
But
what though? No, it does make sense though, because if you think about it, okay, because the QAnon people, like there are crossovers with evangelical Christianity and Q,
yeah,
obviously, and there are definitely people in that little weird Venn diagram who think that Donald Trump is the second coming of Jesus
yeah,
Christ,
mhm.
which part of me loves the idea that Jesus Christ would be some shuckster
I
game
know,
show host.
right? Yeah.
A part of me really loves it a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I can see the appeal. They believe that John Kennedy, like senior, the original JFK, um, is like a martyr status for like the all American baseball apple pie make America great again crowd, because like his whole presidency was called Camelot, which is already like mythological King Arthur shit. And King Arthur was also a metaphor for the second coming of Jesus Christ. He was like the golden, perfect president, right?
Yeah,
But John F. Kennedy was also just a notorious philanderer who did bad, naughty things. And he had a lot of correlations with Trump in that way. I can see them being like John F. Kennedy Jr., like everybody knows JFK is for sure dead. John
yeah,
F. Kennedy Jr. had to disappear
yeah,
to save the legacy of this God King person, JFK, and all those crossovers with Don. Like I could see it. I
yeah.
can if you were on that weird wavelength, sure, why not?
He was like, "Here's what I gotta do. I gotta fake my death for 22 years. Then, when someone I like comes along, I'm gonna secretly post some messages on 4chan and 8chan,
Yeah.
hoping to change the world." Ray's got a comment. I thought Q was that 4chan guy's son. Yeah, that's who it probably actually is. Ron Watkins, who is
Oh yeah.
the son and admin at 8chan. He's probably at least got a lot to do with it because that's where Q posts his messages on
Sure.
8chan. So
That's too many chance.
today,
Too many chance.
QAnon, hundreds of QAnon followers gathered in Dealey Plaza, which is, of course, where JFK was shot in Dallas. And they were all waiting there because they had this information that JFK Jr. was going to show up there at Dealey Plaza and be
I wonder
like,
I wonder
"Hey,
what it costs.
you might have remembered that my father was murdered here, and that he was going to reveal to them that Trump. This is I can't even that Trump is still president." But that Trump was going to then hand his presidency to JFK Jr. because, like you said, they believe that Trump is a messiah figure. So he's
Sure.
now transcended the office of presidency. It's completely below him. So he's
Sure.
making JFK Jr. president, and then former General Michael Flynn, who is a QAnon supporter, is going to be the vice president. So that's
Okay.
technically who's president right now.
So
JFK Jr., who's
when did they
dead.
swear him in? Was like 1156, right? Okay, cool, cool, cool.
No, but this is what they're the best at doing. Okay, noon rolls around and no JFK Jr. appears.
Oh,
So they're like, "Oh, you know what? We got the AM PM thing wrong. He's going to show up at
at
midnight
midnight. Well, sure,
tonight.
that makes way more sense. That makes way more sense. Midnight tonight.
He's going to show up like the
The
Great
witching
Pumpkin."
hour. Fantastic. That would make all of them Linus, and that would make us Sally, I guess. Great, cool, fantastic. Okay, well, I love that, and I
Oh,
think it's great.
here's another theory about why he didn't show up. The Rolling Stones apparently are playing in Dallas tonight. And so they're like, "Oh, he's going to show up on stage at the Rolling Stones concert."
To be
Get
fair,
Rolling Stone, like rolling a stone away from a cave where Jesus
oh
rose from the dead.
my God. Wow. First of all, that metaphor is completely unnecessary. If JFK Jr. manifested on the stage at the Rolling Stones concert, that
Yeah,
would already be cool enough, you guys. You don't need to make it
yeah,
about some Jesus shit. That was
yeah,
already dope. Like, just stop. Just
yeah,
stop. But
yeah,
that makes
yeah,
sense, though. Aren't they supposed to be releasing a bunch of classified information about the JFK assassination? I just saw that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
President Biden, who shit his pants in public this last week, by the way, in case you didn't know that.
I didn't know
Yep. Yep. Sure did. Good job, Joe.
that.
I feel bad. Dude, electing Joe Biden president was fucking elder abuse. Like, whatever your political position is, that guy should be somewhere playing with a golden retriever and not be under this kind of pressure. It's too much admin work. He said he wasn't going to release. He said at first they were going to release this information about the JFK assassination. And then Joe Biden was like, actually, we're not going to because it would be dangerous for our national security for this information to get out.
Yeah,
I can't imagine what would still be so dangerous for our national. I mean, I have an imagination, so I actually can imagine things. I have cable TV, but whatever it was that happened 70 years ago,
yeah,
70
yeah.
years ago, is still so dangerous for our national security that Joe Biden was like, no, what if we didn't?
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely believe that shady stuff happened that day. I've always thought that the conspiracies about JFK assassination were very interesting.
Yeah,
That was when I thought that conspiracies were mostly charming like that.
right.
Now they've taken this really awful twist, and I mean, it's so funny. It's really funny that there's all these QAnon people standing around in Dallas waiting for JFK Jr. to show up, right? Because it's so ridiculous. But at the same time, you're like, holy shit, there's like hundreds of people that went to Dallas because they thought this was true.
Right.
And these
Right.
people like drive vehicles and, you know, have
Have
access to
jobs
guns
and
and, you
yeah.
know,
No, it's
so
crazy. And you know what's wackier even still than that, dude, is that like these people stopped whatever they were doing. They called in sick. They took PTO from like whatever the donut factory. I don't know what the fuck these guys are doing. They drove to Dallas listening to Leonard Skinner the entire way, or maybe
yeah.
Natalie Imbruglia. I don't know what that is like either. This is what they're doing in public,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
front of everybody. Like, this is who they are to the world. What are these people like at home?
Oh man, yeah.
What are they talking about just between themselves?
Yeah.
Like if this is the shit that we're seeing, what kind of wacky, just
Ma-
off the rails bed knobs and broomsticks bullshit goes on behind closed doors? I just really gotta know. Fuck.
yeah, and maybe so one of my favorite details though is that many of them were wearing t-shirts that said Trump Kennedy 2024.
I want one.
I know, I do too.
I want one for Christmas, 112%.
Here's
Jesus
who's gonna
fuck.
win: Trump and JFK Jr. No, he's not dead.
That is just wild. Jesus Lord. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Donald Trump in just a jar of dirt from wherever it was that plane skidded to a dramatic halt. And like, what a fuck. Because you're right. The world is insane. Every time we talk about politics, I hear this song from Aladdin in my head. I can show you the world. Take you wonder by
And you're like, no,
wonder.
thanks. Don't show me the world,
Yeah,
actually.
could you not? Thanks a
I think I'll just
bunch.
stay down here in my basement until 2026 at
At
least.
least. At least. Call us when it's clear. Send a canary up and let us know. But like the problem is the world has always been this fucking like the world has always been this crazy.
Yeah.
There's been shit going on in the world that's been this crazy. Like usually Americans had the privilege of like not having to look too deep into how crazy our crazy shit was or being wildly distracted by how crazy some other crazy shit was. You know what I mean? Like that's real. It's where we are right now. And the fact that we have the internet and everybody has a video camera in their pocket right now.
Yeah.
The world did not get any weirder, you guys. We just see more of it now than we did before.
Yeah, it's
That's
easier to
the truth.
broadcast it. Yeah.
It's the truth. Oh, and also, like, I don't know. I'm not going to get philosophical about it. I swear to God, I haven't even been drinking. I had enough of that this weekend. Thank you very much. It's tradition. I had to. But
Sure,
yeah, like,
Halloween.
yeah, it's Halloween. You're supposed to like it's about debauchery and like not getting caught by the ghosts or whatever. They can't catch you if you're drunk. That's the rules. It just our society is changing really dramatically, really quickly, and anytime that happens, historically, some real wacky shit goes down. That's just what's happening, and it's fine. It's totally fine. I'm not surprised to discover at all that lawyers and doctors and veterinarians and the guy who checks out your groceries up the street 100% believe that Donald J. Trump is the second coming of Jesus and that John F. Kennedy Jr. has just been waiting for. Okay. John F. Kennedy Jr. died in 1993.
99.
Yeah, that's right. 99.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. Let's say the late 90s. He died in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Do you know what Donald Trump was doing in the late 90s? Anybody?
Nothing good.
Yeah, a lot of coke, which is still a thing. Having sex with prostitutes and possibly underage girls. There's definitely still lawsuits out about that are very credible. Yeah. So that's real. Screwing a lot of people out of a lot of money, wasting a lot of money, losing a lot. Like he was, when John F. Kennedy Jr. died, Donald Trump was like in the thick of just being the scummiest scumbag that ever scummed.
Yeah.
And yet, John F. Kennedy Jr. took a one look at that guy and was like, I am going to crash this plane right into the fucking ground. Because that dude.
And live in hiding for 20 years.
Yeah, because that dude is the flavor. He is the big, great white hope for America. That man is the only man alive who is worthy of my father's legacy. Fuck.
Yeah, and they're just so. There was someone who interviewed a woman at that event, and she wasn't on the same page. She didn't get the memo. She thought that everyone was talking about JFK. So she thought that JFK himself was going to show up there. Even though he would be over 100 years old, she thought that he was secretly hiding out all of these years just so he could come out of hiding and be like, Trump is here, the Messiah. Everybody rejoice.
Well, we've talked about this before, man. Like once you're baseline for reality, like you let one wacky idea into your head and accept it as legit, and all of a sudden everything becomes possible. Like there's a nugget of credibility in there, and it's our own damn fault because the government is full of shit, and they did lie to us about a bunch of stuff, and still do, not little things, big things, big things. So that afterwards we were like, holy shit, really? That's crazy, and it was. But now we're in a place that we're like JFK is just, did she think that they had frozen him, or
that's a good question. Maybe she did. Yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
because
so
otherwise he'd be at least 103.
like Mr. Burns rolling up to fuck. I just fuck.
Here's a story about someone else whose idea of reality is being severely questioned.
I like
Um,
how you brought that back around. That was nice. That was good.
every, everyone's favorite social media mogul, Mark Zuckerberg.
That fucking guy.
He did a video where he announced that Facebook, the parent company of Facebook, is changing its name to Meta.
Right.
That's the name of the company now, Meta, and their symbol is a infinity symbol.
Dude,
But
there's
people,
nothing. Oh, that's so. You guys, did you not read any post apocalyptic fiction? That
right?
is just so obviously the parent company that creates the robots that just, oh, God.
Yeah. It's seen as kind of a weak attempt to rebrand because Facebook, of course, has been in getting a lot of bad press lately,
Yeah.
for good reason. But people kind of zoomed in on the bookshelves behind him, which seem to be normal, kind of elegant looking bookshelves that have a few books on each one and some other decorations. But then one of the bookends is a bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue
Yeah.
sauce.
Okay. Here's the thing. Somebody is trolling us. Mark Zuckerberg is worth like billions of dollars, and that room was staged. It was not like that was a room in Mark Zuckerberg's house, where he was like, just so you know, Mark Zuckerberg sits behind his sofa and watches Grey's Anatomy and just fucking takes shots of Sweet Baby Ray's with Tito's. That's not. I mean, maybe he does. I don't know. Maybe he does, but that was an inside joke of some kind, and he is trolling us for sure. The big story there is more that they just got over this in the New York Times. Uh, Recently, the people who study artificial intelligence and its impact on the world just were like, hey, we're spooked. Did you see that? That was the quote. We're spooked. Because when
Wow.
they first started developing AI, it was theoretical. They never had any intention of it developing this quickly
Yeah.
in real life. And they have completely lost control of the evolution of artificial intelligence. They're saying now that what they once thought would only happen 100 years from now could happen as soon as the next 5 years, which is to say that computers will be smarter than we are and way capable of anticipating our moves, our thoughts, our whatevers. And I was reading about how the problem with that is that computers still ultimately are input out machines, and you can tell a computer to accomplish something. The goal that they used as an example was cure cancer. Okay, computer, use your intelligence to cure cancer. There'd be nothing to stop the computer from not figuring out how to give everyone in the world cancer so that they could have as many test subjects as possible to more
Yeah.
efficiently solve the problem. You would have to think of every single thing that could go wrong and specifically say, but don't do that.
Right.
And
Right.
and that's
Right.
just if
Right.
the computer wasn't malicious. The reason that that's applicable is because the reason that Facebook is in such deep shit is because Facebook developed algorithms, which are just personalities, essentially. They're computer directives that they gave to artificial intelligence that have, like, deliberately, they programmed them to do this, created feedback loops for people designed to enrage people and, like, create division between people because it sells. People
Yeah.
spend more time on social media when they're furious about some political thing or whatever because they got to see what everybody else has to say. They have to find a post that they can, you know, dump on and get all crazy with. So the idea that Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, who I don't think takes shots of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, but who I absolutely do think is a fucking lizard person from outer space, that guy's
Yeah.
not real.
I was gonna say, I think he's like an AI himself that was
Yeah,
created by the original Zuckerberg, maybe.
right? Like, what if here's my theory. What if they took Walt Disney's head, which was frozen, because they've been messing around with that cloning. They've been doing that shit. They got the, whatever, the sheep or what have you. And like famously, Walt Disney's head is sitting on ice. They cryogenically froze him when he died back in, like, I don't know, when did fucking Walt Disney die? Like early 80s or something like this?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, they froze him, but here's the thing, is that cryogenics at that time was literally just like we're just going to stick you in some dry ice. Like they're not going to be able to revive Walt Disney's freezer burned head. You're way more likely to get a decent pizza roll out of the back of a freezer that's been sitting in an abandoned apartment complex for 2 years. What if they took that DNA though, and like this was their first attempt to reclone Walt Disney or something? Because Mark Zuckerberg isn't normal. There's something up with that guy, and the fact that he just wants to take all of these social media platforms that are all run by the same AI. The parent company of Facebook, like Facebook in America, is just a social media platform, but Facebook in other countries is the only, like, the parent company owns like WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the only reliable form of communication in huge swaths of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge swaths.
Like China and elsewhere. Yeah.
And Indonesia. So like when Facebook crashed the other day and took Instagram down with it, because all of Facebook's companies run on the same computer network, which is bonkers to me. It completely disabled communications for people, and like millions of people. The fact that he wants to rename this company Meta and have the symbol of it be like the infinity symbol, I can't help but take some like real weird Orwellian overtones from that. Like, it's like we don't have any self-awareness, you guys. That's creepy. I just want somebody to be like, Mark Zuckerberg, take us to your secret lair. You're clearly up to something.
Right. And then he lifts his head off his body and reveals that he's actually a robot.
Right. Like Hillary Clinton, who can't even get dressed in the morning. She's over in the corner sucking adrenochromes or whatever. What do you think Mark Zuckerberg is up to? I think he's just straight up eating those kids. I don't think he's even bothering. Like, just, that's what the Sweet Baby Rays is for. Get it? Sweet babies. Tea, it's right in front of us.
Damn, we cracked the conspiracy. Don't tell QAnon. Don't tell them. They're going to take that way too seriously.
Oh my God, I take it back, you guys. I was just fucking around.
Yeah, but it totally looks like he was like, what would a human dwelling have on their shelves? Something amusing like Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce.
I want to believe that was a mistake, like in the last season of Game of Thrones.
Right, when the coffee cups on the table.
Yeah, and the water bottles, just because they were like, whatever, we win at everything, who cares? That was so disappointing. I'd like to find out that Mark Zuckerberg was responsible for the last season of Game of Thrones so that I can justify my deep hatred of him beyond my lizard phobia or whatever. But I don't, like, I gotta believe that was set up there, because that was a room on a set someplace.
Yeah.
Nobody was in that set eating chicken wings 5 seconds before Mark Zuckerberg was. That was not stuff. It's not real.
Yeah, and he definitely has. I'm sure he's surrounded by disgruntled employees.
He must be, so right.
Maybe someone was like, "Let me make this guy look really weird with one simple move. I'm just gonna put some barbecue sauce as a bookend on his bookshelf."
I think it was an inside joke somewhere. Somebody knows what that was the punchline to. I wish it was us. It's not, but I wish it was. Fucking Sweet Baby Rays. Mark Zuckerberg, what a character. What a card.
I mean, he looks like an alien for sure.
He is. Or a robot maybe, or like Manchurian Candidate shit. Something. Yeah. He's off. Something right with him. That's all I'm saying. He's a couple nuggets short of a Happy Meal. Not real. You're not real, Mark Zuckerberg. Sorry. I'll believe JFK Jr. is coming back to open a brand new Brooks Brothers in downtown Dallas before I believe that.
I wonder what's going to happen next with QAnon. I can't wait to see the next prediction.
Well, I mean, don't make any predictions until after midnight, I guess, because
yes, that's true.
Dude, you know what's possible too is any asshole in his early 50s who vaguely looked like JFK Jr. could right now show up and be like, I'm JFK Jr.
Yeah, no, and they're already over the last couple of years, they have identified a couple of people that they say is JFK Jr. hanging out at a QAnon rally or at a Trump, event of some sort. They found a couple of guys that don't really look like JFK Jr., but they're like, that's him. He was there.
I really feel like
So
that's what's going to happen.
it's
I
almost an
think
Elvis Bigfoot type of thing. Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if that's exactly what happened, because like all of the people who are like big conservative political players at this point, they all have baggage. They all have a backstory. They've all been in the political game for too long. One of the trademarks of the QAnon people is they don't trust the government. They don't
Yeah.
even trust the super Republicans, really, at all. So the best way for like the super conservatives to wrestle control back of this, I mean, to be fair, that's a voting block. QAnon has some
Yeah.
buying power for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And the best way for them to get a hold of these people again would be to bring a totally new player in at the last second and have
Yeah.
him run for president and not give anybody time to figure out who the fuck he really is. Just some used car salesman from Albuquerque or something.
Yeah. 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 I love this idea.
I wouldn't be the least bit
Let's
surprised.
let's get JFK Jr. out there. No, it's very frightening though because some people that we know are going to run for election. This is the Trump effect. Ron Watkins, the guy that I mentioned, who helps run 8chan and is many people think he's at least partially responsible for Q. He's running for Congress in Arizona.
Dudes.
Roger Stone, who is just one of the most awful people of all time and sort of a spiritual guru to Trump, and also very much a conspiracy peddler. He's probably running for governor of Florida.
Oh, that's just what Florida needs.
All right.
Fucking Christ.
So you're looking at a developing QAnon caucus that isn't just people like standing around in Dallas like with some goofy sign, but people that are trying to get political office, which is really frightening because they will have some power to, pass legislation that affects everyone. So
Yeah. Great. That's super cool. I'm just going to go ahead and encourage all of the witches and Satanists that I know to also run for office.
yeah,
Because we need a representation. We need some counterbalance to these fucking crazy people. Or like we need our own crazy people.
yes.
Where are crazy people?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it seems like there's this super right-wing people and they're just like off their nut, obviously not in touch with reality. And then it makes like whatever the people on the left are supposed to, like the American left, which is not left at all, just seem like the saddest bunch of fucking accountants you ever met in your life. Like, you cannot fight crazy with polite talk, you guys. You can't do it. We need crazy people. I would say, like, I'm not a huge fan of the libertarians in general, with the exception of Vermin Supreme. I would vote that guy for king of the world because he's fucking crazy. He's out of his mind, but he makes a lot of really good points. And I think his policies might actually be interesting and progressive. And I just want him to be there so that when somebody is like, we can't hear your opinion right now because you still have adrenochrome on your coat or whatever goddamn crazy thing. I have John F. Kennedy Jr. here in my pocket or whatever they're going to, just so some lunatic with a boot on his head can come out and just be like, I don't know, whatever. The power of Bugs Bunny compels you. I don't know. We need representation.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Alicia were working on this horror host documentary, and we were delighted to find out that Kenosha's horror host, Dr. Destruction, actually ran for mayor of Kenosha circa 2003 or 2004.
Yeah.
His campaign slogan was "Kenosha needs a doctor," and he campaigned in his costume, his Dr. Destruction costume. So
I love it. That's my favorite part of this story is that he campaigned as Dr. Destruction. He did not campaign as his alter ego. He campaigned as that guy. And I maintain that would have been the best thing that ever happened to Kenosha. Kenosha has nothing else going for it. If Dr. Destruction had been like, congratulations, everyone, we are now the trash horror capital of the country. It would have been great. Those people don't know. Who did they vote instead? Who's the mayor of Kenosha instead?
Whoever his opponent was is still the mayor of Kenosha.
Some jackass. What has he ever done? Nothing. I've been to Kenosha recently. It's not great. Like, whatever. I'm with you, Dr. Destruction. You call me. I will run your campaign. We will take that town by storm.
Here's someone. Sorry, I haven't gotten to other people's comments. There's been a few here. But I think this is probably Shane, but it's not. It's
Shane, is it you?
I think this is Shane. He says that Vermin Supreme's cool, but he wants to vote for that wizard who got disenfranchised in New Zealand. Remember, we
Shane,
talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Someone's got to be the vice president, okay?
You know, that's from a story we talked about a couple of weeks ago. There's a guy called the Wizard from Christchurch, New Zealand. But he was on the city payroll, but he no longer is.
You know what we do?
He's a wizard.
You know, right? Like, how do you pick the... So you know what we do, Shane? We get Vermin Supreme elected, and then Vermin Supreme hires the wizard and makes him the ambassador to New Zealand. Vice wizard. Or vice wizard. I don't know, both, whatever, it's fine. I love this plan so much. Boy, we just spent this entire podcast this week just talking about people being crazy. I love it.
Yeah. I got one more story we can talk about quick.
Line it up.
Also involves someone maybe acting crazy. So this really surprised me. Here's the headline, and this is just from a few days ago. Actor who played Eddie Munster denies allegations he was behind 2006 killing of a Wisconsin man.
Yeah. Where did that happen? Wasn't that in Kenosha? God damn it, you guys. I
don't know if it was.
I'm just saying if Dr. Destruction was the mayor, that never would have happened. Because if Eddie Munster was in town and Dr. Destruction was the mayor, you know where Eddie Munster would have been? With the mayor. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You guys missed the boat.
Eddie Munster was played by an actor named Butch Patrick Liley, I think is how you say his last name. So this is a fun fact. In 2016, Butch Patrick, aka Eddie Munster, he was at Milwaukee Paranormal Conference. He had a table. We gave him a free table.
Good thing you did.
Yeah. He got up on stage with me and we introduced the first speaker of the conference. And then, he posed for pictures and signed autographs. And he had a table full of Eddie Munster merch that he was selling, like dolls and, posters and stuff like that. Seemed like a very nice guy. I enjoyed talking to him. People enjoyed getting their picture.
He was so quiet, such a great neighbor. You hardly even knew he was there.
Everyone was like, everyone loves the Munsters, so
yeah. Well, everybody likes clowns too, so like, tell it to John Wayne Gacy, I guess.
But I'm gonna say this is an allegation.
It is.
It's from a woman who is suspected of killing her husband, but she says that she, in fact, did not kill him, but rather it was a gang of 5 men killed her husband. One of them was Eddie Munster.
Well, I mean, okay, and that sounds ridiculous because it is. But to be fair, this story is not completely outlandish. Like, they had some connection to each other. They didn't know each other. They, like, I don't remember if they were in business together. They met at some bar. Like, they did, whatever.
And Butch, he admitted that he was drinking and doing cocaine with these other guys.
Sure, right.
But he says, I didn't do any murdering, though. I was just hanging out doing coke.
I didn't do any murdering. Did I? Dude, if you could, okay. I would just like to say for anyone who is not from Wisconsin, if you're going to come here and hang out and just drink and do coke with some people you randomly met at the bar, it is possible that you will do some murdering because you're not ready for that. It's not your fault. You're just not rated for that. You're not rated for gay partying down in Wisconsin. That's just, I think didn't they meet him at some horror con too, some horror festival? That was the thing, right? That they met there.
Yeah, I can't figure out what this is because I didn't have time to look it up. But he says that Butch met this couple, the couple where the husband got murdered at the Monster Hall Raceway. I have not heard of that. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. Okay.
What it is.
I don't know what that means. All I know is that easily, he could have killed somebody from the Paracon if that's the truth. Because like
from the Paracon.
I mean, it's not like people don't drink after the Paracon, babe, because they do. I've seen it. It happens. And like sometimes shit just goes off the rails. And if Eddie Munster's there, like if there was a bunch of people killing a dude and also Eddie Munster was there, afterwards you're going to be like, because that's what she said actually, was that she wasn't necessarily sure that Eddie Munster specifically had killed her husband, but that there were a bunch of dudes who killed her husband and Eddie Munster was there. So look into that, officer. That's what she said. Like that could have been us. We could have been at fucking Shakers or something. And all of a sudden there was a bunch of dudes and one of them was dead and Eddie Munster's taken off out the back door. Like, I'm just saying, could have happened. We dodged a bullet is all I'm trying to say.
Here's the exact quote from the article. Although Butch admitted to drinking and doing cocaine with the other men accused of the murder, he said he had not been impaired on the night of Jude's death and was traveling at the time, but he could not say for certain where he was. He's also upset because this got out in the National Enquirer. They, of course, had a great headline, which is Munster Murder Bombshell at Monster Hall. And he says that he's lost work because of this headline and allegation.
Okay.
You'd think, if anything, he'd be in more demand. You know?
I would think so. I would like to, if it turned out that, okay. Yes, it's possible. If you're not the kind of person who does monster murders at the Monster Hall, and then you come to Kenosha and get wasted and do some bumps with some people at a fucking bar downtown next to the Dairy Queen, could you wake up the next morning not knowing where you are, but only pretty sure that you didn't kill somebody? Yes, absolutely. We've all been there. But I think that if we found out that Eddie Munster was somebody who routinely went to like monster cons and just up and randomly killed dudes, the value of that Eddie Munster merchandise would just go through the roof.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through the roof.
Maybe that's part of his racket, is he's trying to increase the value of all the Eddie Munster merch that he has stockpiled.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time believing he's getting less work because of this, because it's not like his phone was running off the hook before. It's not like everybody and their brother's like, whatever we do, we cannot do it without Eddie Munster. He's just like sitting in his condo waiting to go to the next con or whatever. Bullshit. Don't believe it.
A great comment from Ray. She says, I mean, if Screech can lose his shit in Wisconsin, I wouldn't put it past Eddie, I guess.
Yeah.
So what Ray's referring to is the actor who played Screech on Saved by the Bell. Dustin Diamond lived in Port Washington, Wisconsin. And he went out to a bar in Port Washington, and some dude pissed him off. So he pulled a knife on the dude.
Yeah, he stabbed him to death. I want to believe you.
No, he didn't stab him to death.
I thought he did. He did. Oh, he killed him. No, he killed him. No. Yeah. No, yeah. I thought he... Okay, what? No.
He did not kill anyone.
I thought he did. I thought he killed that guy. Huh. Maybe not.
No, I don't even think that he stabbed him necessarily. I think he just pulled a knife on him.
See how easy it is, though? I wasn't even there. I didn't even see Screech. And I was like, he was there. He killed that guy. Eddie Munster doesn't have a chance in hell.
So, more weird tales from Wisconsin. Both Eddie Munster and Screech implicated in violence here.
That's a great headline. Love it. Love it.
Okay, cool. All right, we're out of time, but we'll be back next week. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Have a good evening.
Bye, everybody.